so clear. And I want to tell you the story about Josh Brecheen. Josh Brecheen, he is a state senator in Oklahoma. And he got up when everybody was saying, hey, stop with all this right-wing stuff. And he got up in the Senate in Oklahoma, and he said, I just want to read something. And he started reading what basically was pornography. And he was gavelled to silence, and he said, what? If we can read this in our schools, certainly we can read it here. And that was the beginning of turning the tide in Oklahoma, at least I believe, and sort of several people that have been watching this. Now it is the toughest anti-Common Core bill is on the governor's desk in Oklahoma, waiting for her to sign it. And we welcome Josh Brecheen to the program. Hi, Josh. How are you?
I'm good, sir. Thank you.
Have I said your name right?
You did.
Okay, good. Senator, what you guys did in Oklahoma a year ago looked impossible. How did you get there?
Well, I believe that it was a result of a lot of prayer and people, rising up and doing what many people, including yourself, have been talking about, and taking good information and putting it into practice. When
you stood up in the well of the Senate and you had, you were reading basically, pornography. Can you remember any of it without being pornographic? Can you remember what it was?
Well, yes. Anybody that knows the context of one of those text exemplars, there's two that I think are very concerning. And I would just say that that's, a small portion of the indoctrination that can be found, as you know well, throughout the Common Core initiative. But I really hesitated doing that because I didn't want the focus to be on one of the text exemplars. I wanted to stay on the federal overreach that so well is behind Common Core.
Right.
But reading what is the description through the mind or the eyes of a rapist about raping a child.
And beyond raping a child, what is, I think this is Blue Eyes or something like that. And it's a book that our kids, they're recommending this book to read it. And it is not just the raping of a child through the eyes of a child rapist. It is the washing clean of that. It is the moral cleansing of that act and saying, hey, look, we all have our own problems and we all have our own issues. Yes, he's a rapist of a child, but you might be something else.
You're right. The researchers on this subject said the book was written, according to the author, to make the reader feel as if they were a co-conspirator with the rapist.
Okay, which to me is just horrifying and shocking. And do you think that was stood out in people's minds, or do you think it was just the solid argument? Do you need things like that, or do you think it's just the solid argument of this is a federal overreach?
I think it takes both. I think that I thought long and hard about doing that. I asked some people that are, that I'm in covenant with to pray with me about whether or not I should do that. I just felt led to do it. I spent a good portion of my debate talking about the issue of federal overreach and the developmentally inappropriate standards and the chaos in New York, and I went through a plethora of other issues with Common Core. But I think ending on that was trying to say, if there's smoke, there's fire. Don't think that there's not a liberal agenda behind this when this is recommended in the classroom as one of the text exemplars of Common Core.
Okay, so it passed the House by a huge margin, and it passed the Senate by 3-1, which is remarkable. And again, we're talking Oklahoma. It repeals Common Core immediately, takes the whole thing apart so you can't just, shoehorn something else in under another name, which Florida has done and Texas did. This really removes all of it and keeps the control at the state level, but it now sits on Mary Fallon's desk. I have heard from people that I trust both sides. She's going to sign it. She's not going to sign it. What have you heard?
I heard both, and I think it's more important than ever, and I appreciate the audience that you're affording us here to be able to send people to rightlyconcerned.org or call the governor's office. And as Oklahoma is at the point of the arrow, we would hope that conservatives all across America would say, stand up and do what others won't.
Okay, so a recent poll in Oklahoma shows only 15% are for this. 62% want it repealed, and yet your media is all over. In Oklahoma, this kills me. I mean, you just can't. This is one of the frustrating things that I've found in the media. It is such groupthink that it doesn't matter where you are. They all think alike. They've all been indoctrinated in their universities, and they all just come out these zombies. And I shouldn't say all of them, but most of them. They come out zombies. And now the media is full bore trying to say that the governor should veto this bill, correct?
That's correct. I mean, it's very slanted. The two largest newspapers are writing it from the posture of pandering fear of the sky is going to fall if she does this, if she signs this bill into law.
Well, they're saying that they're going to lose. You're going to lose all your federal funding,
which is not accurate. We don't lose federal funding, and when you do the total spending for common education, what they're talking about is if we lose the waiver, we would lose flexibility, not dollars, flexibility over how we spend $27 million, which, by the way, is 0.05%, less than 1% of our total expenditure on common education in the state of Oklahoma. So all of this argument is over less than 0.5% over dollars, yet we're willing to cede control to the federal government over not just our standards and assessments, teacher leader evaluations, Reading Sufficiency Act, A through F, ACE, those are all points in our No Child Left Behind waiver, and the waiver is about control. The waiver is not about flexibility. The waiver is about control. And I think Oklahoma, if we will free ourselves from this fear, I think it will encourage and embolden other states to follow suit.
Josh, thank you very much. I appreciate standing up, and everybody that is standing up in Oklahoma. You're not alone. I'm sorry that we're singling you out because of a great speech that you gave, but it is a huge team effort, and we know a lot of the people up in Oklahoma that are working on this, and it has been a nonstop juggernaut to try to get this thing stopped. And I would hope and I would pray that Mary Fallon, who I like, but again, I mean, she's going in, isn't she? Is she not going in to be the next president of the Governors Association?
She is currently. That is the situation we find ourselves in. Currently, she is the chair of the National Governors Association.
And that's going to play a huge role. I mean, as the governors are oppressing her all around the country.
They're all proud that they supposedly are responsible for this thing. Yeah, it's a mess.
Josh, thank you very much, Senator. I appreciate it, and God bless.
Send people to rightlyconcerned.org. Encourage them. You can send emails to the governor. I also want to thank Representative Jason Nelson, who started this, and thank you so much for having us on.
Okay, wait, it's rightlyconcerned.com?
Yes, rightlyconcerned.org. Rightlyconcerned.org, and they can submit through that website. They can immediately fill out their information, send a note to the governor, and also gives the governor's telephone number.
Great.
So people can call her.
Thank you very much.